What's up, everybody? Back with another episode of Everyday Hoops. Yes, we are back today. Hope you guys are having a good one. So I was thinking, this year, one of the best races for awards, besides MVP, obviously, has been the Most Improved Player of the Year award. There's so many candidates with a lot of great, resumes to win this award this year. And I was thinking, I was like, you know what? What if we gave it to one player on every team? What if we went through every team and said who would win the Most Improved Player of the Year award on every team? So that's what we're doing today. I'm giving my personal Most Improved Player for every team this year. These are not all based on stats, just jumping up in points and stuff, but more eye tests as well with stats and stuff and role and all that stuff. We are getting right into it, but first, if you like the content, subscribe, like, notifications, do all that stuff. Really helps out a lot. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, let's get right into it. So starting off for the Atlanta Hawks, I have Onyeka Okongwu. In his third year, the backup big has been very solid. Last year he showed a lot of potential of, being a really good center. Maybe they talked about moving on from Clint Capella last year, but he missed a lot of games as well. But this year, he got off to a pretty okay start. But then as the season went on, he's been a lot better. He's got a lot more opportunity. He played the most games of his career, got the most starts of his career this season because Clint Capella was hurt for a little while. And yeah, he's been very good. He's played 62 games this year, starting 17 of them. He went from averaging 8.2 points last year to 9.3 this year. His rebounds went up from 5.9 to 7.2. And his free throw percentage went up from 72% to 75%. His blocks are the same, 1.3 blocks. The only thing he went down in is field goal percentage. He shot 69% last year. He's shooting 63% this year, which is still amazing. So it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, just seeing him on the court, he looks a lot stronger. One thing, he was kind of a smaller center, but he looks a lot stronger. Blocking shots, getting rebounds. He has some monster rebound games. And he's just been a force kind of for the Hawks. He kind of could be the next, after Clint Capella leaves, he'll be the next one and maybe even better because he kind of has the same qualities as Clint Capella, blocking shots, rebounding. He's really athletic big man. But that could do a little bit more. He could pass the ball a little bit. You can give him the ball. Maybe he can work in the post a little bit more than Clint Capella. But yeah, he's going to be very solid center. And he has definitely improved this year for the Atlanta Hawks from what I've seen. My guy is Sam Hauser. Now, this one is kind of a little bit obvious once you think about it. Last year, or even before the season started, if you would have asked the NBA fans who is Sam Hauser, 99% of them would have said who. Because no one knew who Sam Hauser was. He played 26 games last season, more at the end of the year for the Celtics. Played a lot of summer league, training camp and stuff. They came to the NBA this season and has actually been a rotational player for the Boston Celtics. He's played in 63 games. He started in 4 of them. And really, one of the biggest improvements was just his role. Last year, he was just end of the bench guy. Now he's actually getting minutes, and he's turned into one of the better shooters in the league. He averaged 2.5 points and a rebound last year. He's now averaging 6 points, 2.5 rebounds. He's shooting 41% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. Honestly, it's just because he's got a bigger role and he's actually gotten minutes, so now we can see he's actually a decent NBA player, sharpshooter out there for the Boston Celtics that they really need. They love to shoot their threes. Sam Hauser's a bigger role in that. He's definitely improved and now actual NBA player, so shout out to Sam Hauser. It is Nick Claxton. Now, I've been a fan of Nick Claxton ever since he got to the NBA out of Georgia, first round pick. Actually, he was a second round pick. He was the first pick of the second round. That's my fault. Long center that could block shots, dunk, catch lobs. He was shooting threes a little bit as well. That definitely can't happen anymore. But he's slowly gotten a little bit more over time. This year's a free agent, restricted free agent. The Nets signed him to a deal. And he's been amazing this season for Brooklyn. Last year, he went from averaging 8.7 points to 12.3 points. His rebounds went up from 5.6 to 9.1. He's averaging almost 2 assists per game. And his blocks, the biggest thing. He went from averaging 1 block a game to over 2.5 blocks per game. His field goal percentage went up from 67%. Now he's leading the league, shooting 70% from the field. He's been absolutely amazing this year for the Brooklyn Nets. He's one of my favorite big men to watch. He's definitely going to make an all-defensive team. If he doesn't, we riot. And yeah, he's just gotten better defensively. Not a lot of fouls, a lot more block shots, and offensively as well, getting a little more, confidence in getting the ball and trying to go to work down low, even though he doesn't have that good touch. But Yeah, he's just been amazing. One of the better defensive centers in the league that you definitely want on your team. Next, for the Charlotte Hornets, we got another big man, Nick Richards. Nick Richards was a second-round pick back in 2020. For the first 2 years in the Hornets, he didn't really get a lot of playing time. Last year, he got 5 starts randomly. But this season, he came in and he started off really hot. He's kind of cooled down a little bit. But Nick Richards has actually become like their backup center for the Hornets, especially after Mason Plumlee got traded. Now he's got a lot more opportunity. Mark Williams has definitely outshined him. But Nick Richards has become a very solid backup big, just a big dude that's going to rebound. You know, he went from averaging 3 points last year to 7.7 this year. His rebounds went from 1.7 to 5.7. He went from averaging half a block to 1 block per game. Shooting 60% from the field as well. His free throw percentage went up from 69 to 73. He's just got a lot more opportunity now with the Hornets rebuilding. And he's definitely taking it and look like a good center that can just get rebounds for you and get putbacks for you when you need it. And every team needs a center like that. Chicago Bulls, this was a tough one. And this one might not make a lot of sense when you first hear it. And when you look at it statistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you really watch the NBA, you know. For the Bulls, I have Nikola Vucevic. Now, Vucevic was traded to the Bulls 2 years ago at the trade deadline, a blockbuster trade to Chicago. He was supposed to kind of set the Bulls up to make a playoff push, and they did when they acquired his old USC teammate, DeMar DeRozan. But Nikola Vucevic, if you ask Bulls fans, he's been very disappointing, especially to me, since he became a Bull. And this year, he started off the year kind of similar, but he has been very, very good as of recently. Look at his overall stats of the entire season. He's averaging the same amount of points. His rebounds went up by 0.2. His assists went up by 0.1. His steals and blocks numbers actually went down. His shooting percentages went up though. He went from 47% shooting to 51% shooting. His 2-point shooting went from 31 to 34. His free throw percentage went up from 76 to 81. Doesn't look like a crazy jump, but look at just the 2023. Don't even look at the end of the 2022 season. 2023, he's played a lot better. He's averaging almost 19 points and 12 rebounds with 3 assists per game, shooting 52% from the field, 32% from 3, 77% from the free throw line. He's had double-doubles basically almost every day of the 2023 season. He had a 43-point game against the Warriors. He's just looked a lot better, a lot more comfortable out there with Chicago. Last year, he was kind of just out there. You know, a lot of people kind of forgot about him. But this year, after 2023, he really turned up and reminded everyone who Nikola Vucevic is. You know, so that's big for the Bulls, even though it's not leading to wins. It's still at least better for him. The Cavaliers, I have Evan Mobley. Now, I made a short about this actually, but I'll talk about it more. I love talking about Evan Mobley. If you look at it from a statistical standpoint, he's improved, but not that much. He went from averaging 15 points last year to 15.9. His rebounds went up from 8.3 to 8.9. His assists went from 2.5 to 2.7. His field goal percentage went from 50 to 54%. His free throw percentage went from 66 to 68. His blocks actually went down from 1.7 to 1.4. So statistically, it doesn't look crazy. But watching Evan Mobley, he has gotten a lot better. He's a lot more comfortable in trying to take people one-on-one, and get to the basket. He's a lot more confident in dunking the ball down to him. He's not just he's gonna get up and go up with authority or try to make a nice pass if he needs to, but he's definitely going up a lot more, which I really love. He's shooting the 3-ball a lot more comfortably, even though he's not a good 3-point shooter yet. You know, he's shooting a lot more comfortably. And yeah, I just love seeing his progression. You know, he's offensively, scoring-wise, he's gotten a lot better and more comfortable with it. And if he keeps going like this, he's going to be insane as an NBA player. But yeah, I got Evan Mobley for the Cavs. For Dallas, I think it's an easy one. Josh Green. Josh Green was a first-round pick a few years ago. Last year, he kind of found his way into the rotation a little bit later into the season in the playoffs. And this year, he's turned into kind of like a key piece of their team. I mean, statistically, he went from averaging 4.8 points last year to almost 9 this year. His rebounds went from 2.4 to 2.8. His assists from 1.2 to 1.6. His field goal percentage went from 50% to 54%. And the huge thing is his 3-point shooting. He was a 36% 3-point shooter last year. He took just 1 a game. And Utah in the playoffs was just kind of leaving him open. And Phoenix was leaving him open. He was not a threat from 3. This year, he's shooting 42% from 3 on almost 3 a game. I mean, he has turned into an amazing 3-point shooter, a really good 3-point shooter. Which has just unlocked everything for him. You already know about it. He hustles, he plays hard. He's gonna get some dunks, but his 3-point shot now. He's now gonna if he can become a reliable, consistent 3-point shooter. I mean, he's gonna have a job in the NBA for a long time. So yeah, to see the improvement of Josh Green this season has been really, really good. For the Nuggets, I have Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was traded to the Nuggets in a trade deadline deal a few years ago after his time in Orlando kind of ran out. And last year, he kind of a little bit disappointed with not having Jamal and MPJ. We thought Aaron Gordon was supposed to step up and be the number 2 guy. He was okay, but he didn't really do much. This season, though, he has improved. He has definitely gotten a lot better and has become one of the better role players in the league. Statistically, he went from averaging 15 to almost 17 points per game. His rebounding went from 5.9 to 6.8. His assists from 2.5 to 2.9. His field goal percentage went from 52% to 58%. His 3-point percentage went up from 33 to 37. His free throw percentage actually went down though. He went from shooting 74%. He's just a 62% free throw shooter. That's horrible. But on the court, you could tell Aaron Gordon is a lot better. Like he knows Jokic's spots. He knows the perfect spots to be in. Jokic from the free throw line gets it down in the paint, and he can just dunk it or he can pass it. He's had some big 30-point games this year. He's a lot more comfortable getting his own shots up. Defensively, he's really good. He just looks a lot better now, more acclimated to the Nuggets system, and he's going to be a big piece in them in the playoffs. On the defensive end, but also on the offensive end as well. So yeah, Aaron Gordon was almost an all-star this year too. Like he was actually an all-star consideration. That's how good he's gotten. So yeah, great improvement from Aaron Gordon. For the Pistons, I have Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart was a first-round pick 2 years ago by the Pistons. In 2020. He had a very solid first 2 years, but this year he's actually gotten a lot better, and he's actually kind of changed from just a big body center that grabs rebounds and does a lot of things. He's turned into more than that. He's kind of actually trying to turn into a 4 because now the Pistons do have Jalen Duren, and they just picked up James Wiseman, and they could have Victor Wembanyama on the team next season. Isaiah Stewart has kind of expanded his game. Like he takes people 1-on-1 now. He shoots threes. Like he's turned into kind of a power forward more than a center, which is good on him. He understands what the team needs, and he's been very good. His numbers, he went from averaging 8.3 points last year to 11.3 this year. His assists went up from 1.2 to 1.4. His 3-point percentage jumped a little bit. His 3-point attempts, he was averaging 0.6 3-point attempts last year. This year he's shooting 4 a game, which is crazy. His rebounding did go down, 8.7 to 8.1, but then again, he's not playing center as much as he did his first 2 years, so that's kind of understandable. And they have Jalen Duren down there as a rebounding monster. But yeah, he's improved in just his play style. His play style's kind of changed, and it's helped him a lot more. So yeah, shout out to Isaiah Stewart for that. Rockets, I got Kenyon Martin Jr. Kenyon Martin Jr., he's a 52nd pick 2 years ago. The Rockets got him in the second round. His first 2 years, he's been cool. He's got a lot more for his posters and being Kenyon Martin's son. But this season, he's actually, after his trade request in the offseason, which is very weird, and the Rockets just didn't care, he's actually come into the season and been one of their better, more consistent players. Yeah, he's been more of like a small forward, power forward for them that does a little bit of everything. He rebounds, he dribbles the ball, he shoots threes, he gets to the rim, dunks, defense. Like he's kind of turned into like a Swiss Army knife type of player. He's had the most starts. He's started 31 games this season. He went from averaging 8.8 points to 12 points. His rebounds went from 3.8 to 5.7. His assists from 1.3 to 1.6. His field goal percentage went from 53% to 56%. Yeah, he's been very just consistent for the Rockets, which is what they need. And if he can keep doing this, he can have a really good career, just being a very solid Swiss Army knife type of role player. He's always going to get his highlights in as well. So he'll be fun in the NBA. Pacers, this is the obvious one. It's Tyrese Halliburton. He was traded last year at the trade deadline, a huge trade from Sacramento to Indiana, where you saw potential of what he can do. But this year, he's turned into a flat-out just star. He's literally just turned the Pacers. The Pacers were a playoff team. The Pacers were a locked-in 4 or 5 playoff team when he was playing early in the year. But then you saw once he got injured, the Pacers fell from like 4 to 11 and haven't been able to get back up there since. Because Tyrese Halliburton is just a huge part. He's literally kind of been their offense. He pushes the pace. He finds open teammates. And he's gotten a lot better as well offensively. He went from averaging 15 last year to 20 this year. His rebounds actually kind of dropped, but his assists, he went from averaging 8.2 assists to 10.2 assists. His shooting numbers went from shooting 47% to 48%. Yeah, he became an all-star this year. He became an all-star this year and is a key piece, kind of like the block for the Indiana Pacers' future. He makes everyone around him better. He's been absolutely ridiculous this season. Clippers was very hard to do because most of their players are veterans. They don't have a lot of young players that get a lot more opportunity. I thought it was going to be Amir Coffey, but Amir Coffey doesn't play anymore. So for the Clippers, I went for Zubac. Ivica Zubac. Even though statistically, he's kind of been, his points actually went down from 10.3 to 10.2. His rebounds, though, he went from averaging 8.5 rebounds to 10 rebounds. His blocks went from 1 to 1.3. But everything else kind of either dropped or been the same. But I feel like just his production and more recognition I feel like he's gotten. Like, he had almost a 30-30 game earlier this season. He's just been so incredible for the Clippers. Has been just kind of their rock in the middle. Consistently there. Rebounding, blocking shots, just being a really good center. Knows his role. He does that really well. And I think he's one of the more underrated big men in the league. But yeah, I just really like Rag Zubac. Lakers, I'm going with Troy Brown Jr. Very weird one, but hear me out. This is why. 2018, Troy Brown Jr. was picked 15th overall out of Oregon by the Wizards. With the Wizards, he literally was just kind of out there. He had a good 2020 year, but he just wasn't really doing much out there. He got traded to Chicago. Last year in Chicago, he was just kind of there, just being around. And the Lakers signed him in the offseason. I thought, why? Because he hasn't done anything in his career. But he's got to the Lakers, and he's actually become like he became a starter at one point earlier in the year for them when they just didn't have anybody. He was their starter. And he's actually become a very solid role player for the Lakers team. He's been hitting threes, playing good defense, getting to the rim, just doing a little bit of everything, which is what he was out of college. He was a Swiss Army knife kind of point forward. And he's been kind of showing a little bit of that for the Lakers this year. He's giving them energy when they needed it. He went from averaging 4.3 points last year to 7.2 this year. His rebounds went from 3.1 to 4.3. His assists went up 1 to 1.1. His field goal percentage went from shooting 42% to 43%. His three-point percentage went from 35 to 37. He started the most games of his career, 35 starts this year out of 59 games played. He's been a really solid bench piece for the Lakers. He's getting recognition because he plays for the Lakers, but because he's been very solid. So it's nice to see Troy Brown Jr. do something. The Grizzlies, I got Santi Aldama. Aldama, he was the last pick of the first round last year. His rookie year, he got a little bit of flashes of opportunity here and there, but didn't really get much. Then this year, they became their starting power forward because Jaren Jackson Jr. had surgery in the offseason, so he was going to miss the first part of the season. And he became their starter, and he's been very good. He's actually become like their 7th or 8th man off the bench. He's been very consistent for Memphis in his second season. He went from averaging 4.1 points last year to 9.2 this year. His rebounds went from 2.7 to 4.5. His shooting percentage went from shooting 40% to 47%. He shot 12% from 3 last year. He's shooting 35% now. It's just gotten better everywhere. That is because of a bigger role. But yeah, he just looks a lot more confident, consistent out there. As a big, he's a 6'11" big that can rebound and shoot the ball as well. And, people love bigs like that. And Santi Aldama's been a very solid piece for the Grizzlies. Miami, I got Bam Adebayo. And this is more offensively. Defensively, you know what Bam does. He's always going to be a defensive player. Their conversations, he's insane defender. But offensively, he's become what the Heat need. Last year, there's a lot of talk, especially in the playoffs, about Bam's lack of aggressiveness because the Heat aren't a really good offensive team and they need all the offense they can get. So Bam not being aggressive is kind of a messed up for him not to do that. And this year, he's become a lot more aggressive, and he's been just amazing this season. He went from averaging 19 last year to 21, a career high this year. Yeah, that's the only thing that honestly went up. Everything else kind of went a little bit down or kind of stayed around the same thing. But just his scoring is just so needed for the Heat because the Heat just, aren't a team that scores and don't have a lot of offense. So Bam just being in there, being able to give him a good 20 and 10 is huge, and it really increases his value. He made it back to the All-Star team this year. And, it's going to be big for them in the playoffs as well for him to keep the scoring up. For the Bucks, I got Javon Carter. Carter has been around the league as a second round pick out of West Virginia a few years ago. He played in Memphis, Phoenix, Brooklyn. The last year, he got bought out from or released by Brooklyn, went to Milwaukee, played 20 games there. But this year, he's actually become a real rotational piece. He's had some really good games. He's become a really good, just a good 3-and-D guard that the Bucks need. He went from averaging 4 points last year to 7.8, career high this year. His rebounds went from 1.7 to 2.7. His assists, 1.5 to 2.4. He's averaging a steal now per game. He went from shooting 38% last year to 43% this year. Shot 38% from 3 last season, 42% this season. He's just gotten a lot more opportunity, and he's been playing really, really good. As a really good 3-and-D guard. For Minnesota, I got Jaden McDaniels. He was a first-round pick a few years ago. Had a lot of potential, especially as a defender. But this year, he's got a lot more to his offensive game as well. He's just a really good wing that could score on the offensive end. He's got a lot of length, can hit the mid-range, the three-point shot, get to the rim because he's really crafty and has a lot of length. And on defense, he's going to be amazing. He's one of the better perimeter defenders in the league. Again, his length. He's got a lot of length. So he can guard up pretty much anybody. And he's 6'9" as well, so he can guard wings and guards. And yeah, he's really improved this season. A lot more opportunity as well with Anthony Towns not being out there. He's got a lot more opportunity. He's become their full-time starter out there as well. He went from averaging 9.2 points last year to 11.6 this year. His assists went from 1 to 2. His steals and blocks both. He's averaging a steal and a block per game now. He went from shooting 46% to 52% from the field. His three-point shot went from 31% to 39%, which is huge. And yeah, he's going to be just a very good two-way wing in his career. Pelicans, there are a few candidates, but I picked Naji Marshall. Naji Marshall was undrafted a few years ago, got caught on with the Pelicans. Just a decent role player that once in a while got into a game and they needed him. But this year, he's actually turned into like a key, consistent rotational player for the Pelicans. It does just a lot of the dirty work, a lot of hustle, plays hard, rebounds, but also is kind of scoring. Like he's had some 20-point games randomly, getting to the rim, trying to make for himself his 3-point shot. He's just been a very tough, gritty, hardworking player for the Pelicans off the bench. He went from averaging 5.7 points last year to 9.5 this year. He went from averaging 2.6 rebounds to 3.7. His assists went from 1.1 to 2.5. He went from shooting 40% from the field to 43% from the field. He shot 20% from 3 last year. He's shooting 31% from 3 now. And yeah, they call him the Knife. I didn't even know that. His name is the Knife. Which makes sense, honestly. Next, another obvious one, Jalen Brunson. I mean, last year he kind of took the world by storm in Dallas. Became kind of their starting 2 guard. Played very well, especially in the playoffs. Then in the offseason, he went, instead of staying in Dallas, signed a big contract with the Knicks to become their starting point guard and to prove to everybody that I can be a starter in the league. And a lot of people thought it was overpay and that, he should have went back to Dallas. But he has shut all of them up and more. People that weren't even saying that he was underpaid shut them up because he has been phenomenal this season. He went from averaging 16 last year to 24. His assists went from 4.8 to 6.2. His 3-point percentage went from 37 to 41. And he went from a good guard to an all-star. An all-star on a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. He's helped this Knicks team jettison from out of the play-in last year to a top 5 and maybe continually rising team that been on a 9-game winning streak. He's been amazing. He's taken over games, getting to the paint, hitting threes, hitting mid-ranges, hitting clutch shots, trying hard on defense, just doing everything for this Knicks. And he's become the Knicks point guard of the future. Honestly, he has. So, yeah, shout out to Jalen Brunson. He's incredible. KC, another very obvious one, and potentially a winner of the real MIP award, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, the guy's always had star potential. He was the top pick, the number 11 pick back in 2018 in OKC. He's shown a lot of star potential, but this year he's taken it to a whole nother level. He's actually become an all-star for the first time. Been one of the clutchest players in the league. He's just been dominating. He's so crafty. He has so much. He's a lot of length. Just knows how to get to a spot. He's not a dead-eye 3-point shooter. He's not a fast, athletic, speedy guard. But you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna lull you to sleep. He's gonna walk past you. He's gonna get layups and free throws. And get to the mid range, and that's how he's gonna do it. And you know what? You cannot stop it. You cannot stop. He's one of the most fun players for me to watch because he's just so crafty, and it's not like a lot of the other stars in the game. He went from averaging 24.5 points last year to 31 this season, which is insane. He's also averaging 1.7 steals, a big from 1.3 last year, and he's averaging a block per game as well. He went from shooting 45% from the field to 50% from the field. His 3-point percentage went from 30 to 34 as well. He's become a flat-out star. You know, he's a flat-out star for a young OKC team that future is super bright. Magic, I got Markelle Fultz, former #1 pick. He's had a lot of stuff said about him, a lot of stuff going on. Got traded to Orlando. His first year in Orlando, he had pretty solid moments. Then his last 2 years, been injury-ridden. He's only played 24 games in the past 2 years. But this year, he's been, after missing the first part of the season with a foot injury, he's come back, he's been healthy, and he's been great. He's become the starting point guard in Orlando. He's been great. He went from averaging 10.8 points last year to 13 this year, which is a career high. His rebounds went from 2.7 to 4.1, a career high. His steals 1.1 to 1.5, a career high. 47% shooting to 50% shooting, career high. 3-point percentage 23 to 31, career high. He's been great. You know, he's a guard. He's our starting guard that kind of sets the tempo. You know, he gets everyone else involved, rebounds, gets to the rim. One of the better finishing guards in the league. Just does a little bit of everything at the point guard position. It really sets the Magic up. You know, makes everyone better around him. You know, and it's just really nice to see Markelle thrive after all the stuff he's been through. Really nice to just see him go out there and have fun and hoop, man. For the Sixers, I have James Harden. And we're not even going to talk about the statistics because statistically he's not that much different. He is leading the league in assists though, averaging 10.6 a game. But it's just James Harden just looks a lot better and more engaged. Last year he got to Philly at the trade deadline, and he was good for the first start of it. Then as the season went on, he kind of just got a lot more, tired, worn out. In the playoffs, he did not have a good showing. And so he came back motivated. He came out, he worked out, got his body in the right shape. Could have signed a huge contract extension, but instead said, you know what, Daryl Morey, go out and sign who you got to sign. And then once you're done, I'll take the rest. But go out there, do what you got to do, because I want to win the championship. And he's made it clear he wants to win. And he's just kind of changed, and he's been very good for Philly this year. Surprisingly, he didn't make the All-Star team, which he had an amazing case for it. Has just been the leader kind of for Philly outside of Joel. He's been kind of the guy to set the tempo. He's kind of turned into more of a point guard. He's not a 35, 36 per game scorer anymore, but he doesn't have to when you got Joel Embiid. He's been table setting up for everyone, for Joel, for Tobias Harris, for Tyrese Maxey, for everybody. But also having some moments where you see the old James Harden in him and can still get in his bag and go get 30 if he needs to, but he doesn't need to. And he's just really locked in and focused on winning a championship right now. So that's the improvement I see from James Harden this year. The Suns, I got Josh Okogie. Josh Okogie was basically just a bench player, just on the bench for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had some rookie moments, but then after that, he's just kind of been just whatever. And then the Suns signed him to a contract this season, and he has turned into one of their better role players on their team. He played 55 games. He started 9 games. He's had some big games. He's got a lot of confidence, taking a lot of shots, getting to the rim, hitting threes. He's going to try and hustle on defense as well. He went from averaging 2.7 points last year to 6.9 this year. His rebounding went from 1.4 to 3.3. He went from 40% shooting to 41% shooting. His three-point shot went from 29% to 33%. He's got a lot more opportunity, and he's just been a very good part of the Suns' rotation, and he's been actually kind of a starter for them as of recently. He's probably going to move more to the bench role, but he's going to get a lot of minutes just because he plays hard on defense, and on offense, he showed he can give you some 15, 20-point nights sometimes. For the Blazers, I got Anthony Simons. Last year, he was a really improved player, and this year he's gotten even better. He's kind of slowed down as the year went on, but he's still having a really good, improved season, looking a lot more comfortable with Dame helping him out there. And he looks like he'll probably be the future in Portland if he's still around. But he went from averaging 17 last year to 21 this year. His assists went from 3.9 to 4.1. All the shooting numbers are kind of the same, but just his production has been a lot better. and he just looks a lot more comfortable out there and looks like he's going to be a future star. And he has a pretty game, man. I love watching him play. His game is just so smooth. For the Kings, I got Kevin Huerter. Kevon Huerter, maybe you want to call him. He's a first-round pick for Atlanta. Just a really good shooter. You know, and then the offseason, the Hawks, for some reason, wanted to trade him to save some money. Traded him to Sacramento for basically nothing. And he's come to Sacramento and been the perfect piece for them. As just a shooter on the wing. He's shown a lot more as well, playmaking ability and stuff. He's just been the perfect addition of why the Kings' offense has become so amazing, because they have a knockdown shooter now, Kevin Huerter. He went from averaging 12.1 last year to 15 this year. His assists went from 2.7 to 2.9. He's averaging 1 steal per game now. His shooting, he went from 45% to 48%. His three-point shot went from 38 to 39. Yeah, he's been great. For the Spurs, Devin Vassell. Vassell was a lottery pick a few years ago. Shown some really good potential of being a really good 3-and-D player. But this year, when he has played, he's shown a lot more than that. You know, he's become, he can get his own bucket if he needs to. Also because the Spurs, I mean, who else is going to score for the Spurs? So Devin Vassell took it into his own hands. But he's actually been very good. The only thing is that he's only played 30 games this season, which really sucks because he probably would be in the conversation for most improved if he actually was playing. But yeah, he went from averaging 12 last year to 19 this year. His rebounds went down, but his assists went from 1.9 to 3.6. He went from 42% shooting to 44% shooting and 36% three-point shot to 39%. Yeah, I would just like to see him play a lot more because I think he can be a very, very, very good wing in the league, and he's shown potential this year that, why he can be that. The Raptors was the toughest team for me because they only play 7 players, and most of the 7 players didn't really improve. They kind of stayed the same. I just picked Jakob Poeltl because I feel like he just got a lot more recognition this year. He's had some really nice moments this year. He's become one of the more underrated bigs in the league, even though statistically he's actually kind of dropped in some stats. But I feel like his perception and people, the media has got a lot more attention, which he deserves because he's a very, very good center. But yeah, the Raptors, I honestly, you can just count this out as I didn't really have one. Jazz, I mean, no thinking about it. Lauri Markkanen, he's probably gonna win the most. He's my pick for the most improved player of the year this year. He went from just being a really solid role player in Chicago and Cleveland to a legitimate star in Utah, and has become their star and probably a building block for them now, which is insane to see his progression. He just looks a lot more comfortable out there in getting buckets. He's been very efficient this season. He's just been doing it all. He went from averaging 14 last year to 25. His rebounding went from 5.7 to 8.6. His assists 1.3 to 1.8. Went from shooting 44% to 51%, 35% from 3 to 40% from 3. He's just made a remarkable jump, and you got to just appreciate him for doing that. And he's probably going to win most improved player in real life. Finally, for the Wizards, I got Kristaps Porzingis. Even though statistically it doesn't look crazy, he went from averaging 20 last year to 22. His assists went from 1.8 to 2.6. His field goal percentage went from 46% to 49%. His three-point percentage went from 31 to 37. Just his playing out there, he looks a lot more comfortable. He said it last year. He likes playing in Washington better because in Dallas he kind of just was stuck in a role of like Luka did everything but you stretch the floor and rebound and do all this stuff. When Washington, he could just play whatever he wants to play, and he's been very good. He was actually in All-Star conversations this year, early before Julius Randle took over. Like that was probably Porzingis' spot early in the year if you would have asked me like the first 2 months of the season. But then Julius Randle and the Knicks got hot, and Julius Randle took that spot. But Porzingis just has looked a lot more great. He's been healthy this year. He's played in 54 games, which is the most he's played since 2020. And yeah, he just looks a lot more better out there and look more like New York Porzingis. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's one. Most improved player for each team. Yeah, once again, if you like the stuff, subscribe, like, notifications, do all that stuff. I really appreciate it. I'm also at Twitter at EverydayHoops10. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.